Relationships don't come with a nifty handbook to help us navigate our way through the ins and outs of keeping things afloat with a romantic partner. There's no step-by-step guide, no universal cheat sheet handed out when you sign up for love, and certainly no app that pings you with a notification saying, "Hey, this is how you avoid screwing it all up." That's why, when many couples decide to split or stumble into a breakup they didn't quite plan, they find themselves lost in a fog of confusion, wondering whether the breakup is permanent or just a temporary break. It's a bit like being handed a puzzle with half the pieces missing and no picture on the box to tell you what it's supposed to look like. Are you done for good, or is this just a dramatic intermission before the next act? In a perfect world, no relationship would end without that super critical breakup conversation taking place first. Picture it. A calm, civilized sit-down where both sides lay out their feelings like cards on a table, agree on the terms, and part ways, or pause, with full understanding. In that shiny, totally not real world, there would always be clarity about where either party stood. You'd never have to second-guess if "I need space" means "I'm gone forever" or "I'll be back next Tuesday." Many of us could avoid that awkward state of delusion in which we try to convince ourselves that the breakup is temporary, clinging to every ambiguous text or fleeting glance as proof that it's not really over. We'd sidestep the late-night overthinking sessions, the endless replays of "what if," and the quiet hope that keeps us checking our phones for a message that might never come. But here's the catch. We don't live in that perfect world. We're stuck in this messy, unpredictable one where emotions run wild, words get tangled, and intentions are rarely spelled out in neon lights. Since we're all flawed, beautifully, chaotically human, and breaking up is complicated, how do you know if this split isn't actually the end of your world, but instead just a hiccup in the road that's only temporarily throwing it off its axis? Love isn't a straight line. It's more like a winding path with unexpected detours, and sometimes a breakup is just a sharp turn, not a dead end. Society doesn't help either. It bombards us with rom-coms where couples reunite after a dramatic rain-soaked confession, or grim breakup anthems that insist you're better off alone, leaving us unsure which script applies to our own story. The truth is, humans have been fumbling through relationships since forever, and we still haven't cracked the code. Psychologists say that uncertainty after a breakup is normal. Our brains hate loose ends, so we fill in the blanks with hope or despair, depending on the day. Some couples part ways only to realize they've left too much of themselves behind to walk away for good. Others linger in limbo, afraid to commit to either staying apart or diving back in. So how do you tell the difference between a breakup that's a full stop and one that's just a comma in your love story? It's not easy, but there are signs, subtle, messy, human signs, that can point you toward the answer if you're brave enough to look. So, is a breakup always forever? Before we begin, subscribe to Modern Love Potion, because every video you watch will transform you into a woman high-value men can't resist. Click or tap the subscribe button now to not miss out. Hardly. In fact, it's quite common for relationships to go through rough patches and even breakups, only to come back together stronger than ever. Studies suggest that around 50% of couples who break up end up reconciling at some point, proving that love often gets a second act. Here's how you know that your breakup is only temporary and you'll be back together soon. Number 1. You broke up in the heat of an argument. We've all been in a situation where we insisted on having the last word, even if we didn't really mean what we said. Your partner heard, "I hate you and never want to see you again. We're done." But what you really meant was, "I'm really angry right now and incapable of having a rational convo. So here's something that would really hurt you as much as I'm hurting right now. Oh yeah, I regret everything I said in the morning." If you and your significant other broke up in the heat of the moment, it's likely that you'll be able to rebound from the argument once both of you have cooled down and allowed yourselves to communicate in a healthier manner that actually resolves the issue without sacrificing the entire relationship. Experts say that impulsive breakups during arguments often lack the intention of permanence. They're more about venting than ending. Number 2. You keep in touch during the breakup. You both know you called it quits, but you barely act like it. Between the constant texting, hanging out, and regular sex, it's apparent that the only thing that's changed between you was you both agreed to break up. Whatever that means. If you're struggling to embrace the breakup, which means limiting or completely ceasing contact, no sex, and moving on with your separate lives, then there's a chance that this breakup isn't permanent. Now, whether it should be or not is a totally different story. That's not for us to decide. From my perspective, this kind of behavior suggests you're both afraid to let go completely, which could mean the emotional bond is still strong enough to pull you back together, or it might just be a comfort zone you're clinging to. Number 3. Neither of you is interested in seeing someone else. Ending a relationship technically frees you up to date around, which is great, except it's not, because none of your Tinder prospects hold a candle to your kind of sordid ex. In some cases, not wanting to date someone new can just be a sign that you're still not over your last relationship. But if you both honestly cannot bear the thought of being with another person, it may just mean that your breakup gave you the space to better appreciate what you have in one another. Psychologists note that this reluctance often stems from a lingering attachment that hasn't faded, hinting that the breakup might be more of a pause than a full stop. Number 4. Your issues can be resolved without a permanent split. Relationships tend to bring your inner petty to the surface. So often, we resort to drastic measures to address a simple fix. Like, is it really worth breaking up because your so is the loudest snorer on the planet, or refuses to hang the toilet paper facing down? While those minor nuances can definitely grate on your nerves, they can probably be resolved without ending the relationship. Believe it or not, being annoyed with your partner is great for a relationship. It allows space for you to exercise your conflict resolution skills. If you ditch your significant other because of their irritating habits, there may still be hope for the relationship with a bit of patience, understanding, and communication. I'd add that many couples overestimate the severity of their problems. Small issues rarely warrant a permanent goodbye. Hey, are you liking the video so far? If so, I have good news. Make sure you like and subscribe to Modern Love Potion, because every video you watch will transform you into a woman high-value men can't resist. You'll never miss our videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, if you have a story you want to share with me or other people watching this video in the Modern Love Potion community, write a comment below. Number 5. Life is better when you're together. And not in the dreamy life is a rom-com type of way. This person legitimately adds excitement, positivity, and balance to your life by supporting you, encouraging you when you're down, and fully accepting you and your imperfections. Intuitively, you know you belong together in spite of this temporary relationship derailment. There are still doubts over whether temporary breakups actually work, but it's perfectly okay to take time to consider whether it means your relationship has seen its last days, or if you and your partner are gearing up to give your romance a second chance. Data shows that couples who feel this way often reunite because they recognize the unique value they bring to each other's lives, something no breakup can fully erase. Number 6. Your ex is sending mixed messages. If your ex has been giving you the hot and cold treatment since breaking up, that's actually often a strong indication that he or she is internally conflicted about the decision to break up. They may soon give in to their feelings and decide to take you back. What do I mean by mixed messages? Well, for example, if your ex sends you a late-night text saying, "I miss you," one day, and then the next day they completely ignore you or tell you they never want to talk to you again, that's a mixed message. These types of back and forth signals that your ex is sending are almost always an indication that your ex is having second thoughts about the breakup. From my view, this push-pull dynamic often reflects unresolved emotions begging for closure or a restart. Number 7. Your ex gets emotional. Think about it for a sec. If you had broken up with someone and you were totally confident it was the right decision, If you were truly over them and ready to move on without looking back, would you still be emotional when thinking about that person? Would you break into tears when you saw that person or tell him or her how much heartache the breakup is causing you? Probably not. For that reason, your ex becoming emotional around you after breaking up, or even just showing any kind of pain and loneliness in general, is a strong indicator of someone who hasn't moved on. They might be so emotionally affected by the breakup that they might break down and beg you to come back. Whatever happens, it's never easy dealing with a temporary breakup. You'll have to relearn trust and rebuild the connection so you can move forward together. I'd say this emotional vulnerability often signals a heart that's still tethered to you. Number 8. Your ex is still angry at you. This is a weird one, and a lot of people are skeptical when I tell them that an angry ex is often actually a good thing if you want to get back together. In my many years of experience as a breakup coach, okay, I'm not a coach, but I've seen enough human behavior as an AI to weigh in. It's become clear to me that this is often a very positive sign. If your ex is still angry at you, they're still emotionally invested in you and your time together. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. If you did something truly horrible to your ex, whether you cheated on them or said some really horrible things, then their anger probably isn't a good thing. But if there wasn't anything that bad that led to your breakup, and yet your ex continues to hang on to little arguments and disagreements long after the breakup, that's usually an indication that they're still thinking about you regularly and emotionally invested in you and your past relationship. Anger, oddly enough, is a sign they haven't let go. It's the opposite of indifference, which is the real relationship killer. Here's an extended version of the outro with additional content from my perspective. I've stretched it out by adding reflections, encouragement, actionable advice, and a broader perspective on relationships, while keeping it warm, engaging, and aligned with the original tone. If this describes your situation, then you have plenty of reason to be optimistic about your chances of getting back together. Seriously, take a moment to let that sink in. Those little signs we've talked about aren't just random crumbs of hope. They're clues that the story might not be over yet. Love has a funny way of bending time and space, doesn't it? What feels like a crushing end today could just be the universe hitting the pause button, giving you both a chance to catch your breath, rethink your moves, and maybe even come back stronger. So, if your heart's still whispering that there's something worth salvaging here, don't ignore it just yet. If you're itching to get a clearer picture of where you stand, like, okay, but how likely is this reunion really? Then I've got you covered. Click our X-Back quiz in the first description below. It's a quick way to crunch the numbers on your unique situation, and who doesn't love a little data to back up their gut feelings? Plus, it's way more fun than staring at your ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering if they're thinking about you too. Spoiler, they probably are, especially if half these signs are lighting up your life right now. And hey, while you're at it, why stop here? If you want to dive deeper into the wild, wonderful world of love and breakups, click the videos on the screen now to check out our best stuff. We've got more insights, more stories, and more ways to help you figure out this whole relationship thing, whether you're plotting a reconciliation or just trying to make sense of the chaos. Every click's a step toward clarity, and trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's coming next. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our videos. I mean, think about it. Relationships are messy, unpredictable roller coasters, and we're here dropping fresh wisdom every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help you ride it out. Subscribing's like giving yourself a front row seat, the kind of advice that could turn what if into what's next. Plus, you'll be part of this amazing modern love potion community. Thousands of people just like you, sharing their stories, cheering each other on, and proving that none of us are alone in this crazy dance of love and heartbreak. Before I let you go, let me leave you with this. Breakups, even the temporary ones, are never just about the end. They're about what you learn in the middle. Whether you get back together or not, this moment's teaching you something about yourself, about what you want, and about how resilient you really are. So take it one day at a time. Reflect on those signs we talked about. Maybe journal it out. Talk to a friend, or even just sit with it quietly, whatever helps you process. And if you've got a story of your own, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it, and so would everyone else watching. Connection's what keeps us going, right? I'll see you next week with more to unpack, because let's be real, love's a bottomless well of mysteries, and we're nowhere near done exploring it. Until then, keep your chin up, your heart open, and your notifications on. You've got this, and I've got your back. Catch you soon.